SABC News, this is the agenda. Well, a Stokvel has been launched to uplift black communities and help its members invest in properties. The increasing costs in the bond market and home loan interest rates are leaving many South Africans unable to afford homes. The Property Stokvel Investment Club is trying to make owning property for black South Africans easier and more accessible. Entrepreneur and publicist Nicolas Manyike has initiated a Property Stokvel Investment Club, which actually seeks to help South Africans by buying properties and owning land. He says that most Stokvels are created to buy groceries, especially for the festive season, or possibly maybe help members with repaying debts and funeral costs. Nicolas now joins us in studio for more on this. A very good morning to you, Nicolas. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Essentially, what inspired you to start this? Also having a look at, the preconceptions and the preconceived ideas around Stokvels.
Well, if you look at the Stokvel economy in South Africa, it's worth 49 to 50 billion.
We have a Stokvel economy.
Yes, in South Africa. The Stokvel economy overall, like all Stokvels, it's worth 49 to 50 billion in South Africa per year. And you look at that amount, where it's going to retail and supermarket, and we know who's owning those supermarket and retails. However, I'm not a politician. If you look at that amount, majority it's black communities who are contributing that amount. And then I said we can use the same concept we've been using for the past decades. Because obviously we buy food, we eat, so what? We don't have something of value that we can show up as a black community. Now, we are using the same concept. We are saying, let's focus on property, let's focus on franchise, let's focus on land. Because after that, if you look at that amount, if we are, building something where we're going into property, how much can we, we make, or how many, townships we can develop?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Nicolas, just take us through this process. Specifically in terms of investment.
Okay, in the Property Stokvel, members they join as 250 once-off a joining fee, which is non-refundable. After that, we send you approval letter and our constitution. The constitution is something that we have, crafted as members who came together to say, look, we as members, we are coming together for one common purpose, which is to build wealth in the black community. And with looking at the interest rate or the banks, we don't have justice. We are still suffering the effect of apartheid up until now. Now we are saying, as a Property Stokvel, after you joining, there's two phases. Phase one, we are contributing in a pool account where monthly we are contributing 2,100. Now, we deduct 100 Rand for legal purposes and for administration, because when you buy a property, you don't just buy it and then that's it. Now, after that, we are aiming to raise 4.8 million with 100 members. Now, we're currently sitting at 80 members in Property Stokvel. Now, if 100 members monthly are contributing 2.1, that means in a month we'll be able to raise 200,000. In 5 months, we'll be able to raise 1 million. Now, after reaching our goal, which is 4.8 million, we sit down as a Stokvel. We say, guys, we have franchises, we have properties. Where can we go with our 4.8 million? Now, we're looking at a franchise. Why a franchise? Because a franchise, it can make a profit from 500,000 up to more than 1 million, depending on the type of franchise and the location.
All right, so just take us through this. If I'm an individual and I'm contributing now to the Stokvel, 2,100 Rand, I'm putting it in. A couple of years later, or a couple of months later, in the pool we have 4.8 million. Number one, as someone that's part of the Stokvel, how do I decide or disagree on some of the ventures that we would be partaking in, number one? Number two, what sort of limitations does this have in terms of the amount of people that are included in this? All right.
First group, it's 100 members. If there's a demand, because there is a demand, then we'll introduce the second group. However, the voice that a member has is that we live in a democracy, so I don't take decisions alone. There's a committee and all members, we have equal voice. Now, as 100 members, we'll sit down to say, guys, let's vote. We have these options. Now, if 51 members are saying, let's buy this franchise or let's buy this property because the property will give us a profit back, then we have no choice but to take that route. If 49 are saying, no, let's take this, we go by the majority because we live in democracy. However, the good thing is that phase one, it will give us a profit, and with that profit, we will take half of it. For example, let's take our franchise has managed to generate 12 million in a year. Now we will take half of 12 million, which is 6 million, and we pay out to members as a dividend. And we take the other half, we reinvest it by buying more franchise and more properties and more houses. But we have the most exciting phase two. Our phase two is where we're going to buy each other houses. And that's why a lot of people are more interested, and they say, how possible is this? On phase two, members will be grouped by 30-30, and we won't be contributing 2.1. We'll be contributing roughly from 15,000. And if you say 15,000 times 30 members in a month, that will amount to 450,000. We can buy you a house cash, no interest rate, no bond, no 20 years. Now, I gave an example. I said, currently in South Africa, if you buy a house worth of 450,000, where monthly you are paying 5,000. 5,000 times 12 months, it's amounting to 60,000. 60,000 times 20 years, that's almost like 1.2 million. Now the worst part, you wake up in the morning, president has reshuffled, rand it's not performing well. It's literally going to affect you because the interest rate will go up. Now that means you're going to pay way too much, more than 1.2 million for a house worth of just 450. Yeah. Now with us, we are cutting the interest rate. We are saying no to 20 years because on phase two, it will take us a minimum of 3 to 5 years for all members to own houses cash.
All right. So, Nicolas, this is quite a new concept. And, yes, of course, you guys have a constitution. So there are some areas that are a bit difficult to understand, yes, on the onset. But just take us through how successful has this initiative been thus far? I
mean, so far we have 80 full committed members, and we are growing each and every day. We are saying we can use the concept to build our communities too. And also, you know, with this on phase one, when we buy a franchise or something, is that we're not going to hire from outside. We hire within. So we will create more jobs within. And this is a great success because if you look where we're coming from, a lot of people in the black community, they can't afford to buy a house, you know. But with 2.1 or with that little, you can be able to tap in the property sector. You can be able to create wealth by, you know, joining the Property Stokvel Investment Club.
Definitely. We thank you very much for your time. Nicolas Manyike from the Property Stokvel Investment